He has multiple caliber guns in the basement. He is willing and ready to have a shootout with us.
My name is Dan Brite, and I will never forget what happened on September 2nd, 2016. I was a plainclothes detective with what we call the impact unit, and we focused a lot on the more violent type of crime that would happen. It's challenging. You always want to resolve the situations successfully without anybody getting hurt, but you always have to prepare for the worst case scenario.
Units around the suicidal subject. Male has a loaded 9mm with him. He's loading his AK-47. Says he will kill whoever tries to stop him.
The suspect's name was Randall Roddick, and we had a lot of interaction with him over previous years, most of it for mental health related issues. The location was within close proximity of a middle school, an elementary school, a hospital, and a rehab center. All those areas was what we call soft targets, people that are susceptible to attacks. And by the time we had got on scene, we had set up roadblocks. He saw the roadblock, he stopped and turned his RV around and went back to his house.
I've got a male going back to the garage. He is carrying a rifle and what looks like an ammo can.
The impact team, we were instructed to follow him to his house. Our whole goal was to isolate him in his RV, and we were gonna wait until negotiations showed up. I had positioned my vehicle in between the RV and in between the house. But because of the angle of my truck, I was the only officer that he could see. So he started firing his AK-47 round.
Shot fired, shot fired, man down, one of ours.
I had fallen down from being shot, and I continued firing at the RV until I went unconscious.
BB's down, roll up, medical.
SWAT medic arrived on scene, threw me in the back of my unmarked truck, and they rushed me to the hospital. But as I'm going into the ER, the suspect had crashed the RV, got out of the RV.
He's shooting at citizens.
Several units had converged onto his location.
More shots are being fired on that scene right now.
They exchanged gunfire, and yeah, he was shot and killed.
He's down with the suspect. He's deceased.
When I arrived in the ER, I was dead. I didn't have a heartbeat. The on-call surgeon, he immediately got access to my heart and massaged it with his hands. And my heart started beating on its own. The round destroyed my spleen, destroyed part of my left lung, my diaphragm, and my stomach. While being transported up to the OR, my heart stopped beating a second time. He immediately went right back to massaging my heart with his hands. I had less than a 1% chance of survival. Because he refused to give up, I'm still here today. I was in ICU for just over 30 days on a lot of different medications, and I think they told me during that time that I was paralyzed, but it didn't really stick. It wasn't until I got to the rehabilitation center that they had brought in a wheelchair. I remember just staring at that wheelchair and actually refusing to get into it for a few hours because I didn't want to accept the fact that I was paralyzed. I was angry at anything and everybody. Even if they didn't have something to do with the injury, I was just angry at the situation. And I was back home in my own environment and starting to really realize the things that I couldn't do. I couldn't take my daughters to the daddy-daughter dance anymore. I couldn't play basketball with them. I can't hold my wife's hand while we go for a walk because I'm constantly pushing the wheelchair. I went right back to the impact team, thinking that that would help solve a lot of my mental health issues, but it was just the opposite. Because when they would go run out the door to go handle something, I was left behind because I obviously couldn't go. And that really started to tear me up. I couldn't even think. My mind was stuck on the injury and the consequences of the injury and the fact that I was paralyzed. And that instant replay in my head is what was driving me to be overstressed and to have suicidal thoughts. That was absolutely my lowest point. My family, my friends refused to leave my side, and they pushed me towards talking to a therapist. In law enforcement, we can't emote with people. We can't grieve with them when they lost a loved one. We have to maintain our composure. And what I have learned from this injury is that suppressing my emotions for the past 16 years, my pot was finally full. This injury had caused it to overflow. The statistics show the last few years that, officer suicides have surpassed all the line of duty deaths, from car accidents to gunshots to violent attacks. Suicides outnumber all those. With the command staff, we decided to come up with a wellness program. My ultimate mission with this program is to provide services to our employees and their families so they have a safe and trusted procedure for getting the help that they need without fear of getting fired, without fear of getting transferred to a different job, and without fear of being considered weak. At first, there was some resistance, but the process is safe and it is confidential. We want them to share their story to help break that stigma, because by them recovering loudly, we help others from dying silently. Everything about me has changed. Before injury, when somebody would come to me for help, I was honestly at a loss of, how can I really help you? I don't really know what to do other than give you some numbers. But now I can sit with that person and listen to them and understand what they're going through. I found a different way of connecting with people, and I think I would have never have gained that skill set had I not traveled this road. At first, I was mad at Randall Roddick for what he did to me. Once I started to understand the full story, I realized that, it's not his fault. He didn't get the appropriate help that he needed. So I don't blame him for what had happened, because now I understand what it's like to have those kind of mental health issues. I just wish that our mental health system was better prepared to handle these issues more appropriately and at a much faster pace.